Gumball has its fair share of goofy moments, but every now and then, it slips into something deeply unsettling. So unsettling that you have to wonder how it even made it to air. Like the episode The Downer starts with Gumball in a terrible mood. Everything annoys him, his family, his friends, his entire life. So, in frustration, he makes a wish. He just wants everyone to disappear. And then, just like that, they do. His family vanishes. His classmates are gone. The streets are empty. No cars, no voices, no sound at all. Just Gumball, standing in the middle of a dead city. At first, he loves it. No rules, no responsibility. He screams at the top of his lungs, runs through the streets, and eats whatever he wants. He does whatever comes to his mind, with no consequences. For a moment, it's perfect. But then, things start to feel wrong. The silence is too deep. The air feels heavy. The sky looks dull, like the color has been drained from it. There's no wind, no birds, nothing. Gumball walks through Elmore, but it's not the town he knows. Then, he notices the sign. The joyful burger is now called Misery Burger. The Captain Crunch cereal at the store? It says Captain Crud. Everywhere he looks, things are distorted, as if the world itself is crumbling. That's when the shadows appear. Dark, creeping, shifting. They stretch through the empty streets, swallowing everything in their path, and they're coming for him. He tries to run, but there's nowhere to go. The darkness surrounds him. It seeps into the walls, the ground, the air itself. It feels alive, and it's closing in. Then, the voices whisper, low, distorted, echoing in his ears. His reflection in a store window twists into something unrecognizable, a warped version of himself, smiling too wide, eyes too hollow. It opens its mouth, and then everything stops. Gumball wakes up. He's back in his bed. Everything looks normal. But outside, the sky still seemed off. The silence still lingered. His hands still shake. Was it a dream? Or did something follow him back? Anyhow, the episode. The joy doesn't just feel weird. It feels wrong. From the very first second, something is off. The screen fades in with deep red text. Monday, 7:53 a.m. It's not just a time. It's a warning. Gumball and Darwin drag themselves to breakfast, looking miserable. Richard, on the other hand, is full of energy. He pulls them into a wonder hug, promising it's filled with happiness. But the moment they touch, a giant rainbow explosion erupts from the house. It's not normal. It's too happy. At school, Miss Simeon watches the security camera, enjoying the usual Monday misery. But then, she sees Gumball and Darwin, glowing with joy, singing in eerie autotune. Their smiles are too big. Their voices don't sound real. Miss Simeon panics. This isn't happiness, it's a disease. She locks them in the nurse's office, but it's spread. One hug at a time, the students fall. Their eyes shine too brightly. Their laughter is endless. The school turns into a nightmare masked as joy. Desperate, Miss Simeon finds her only weapon, Beethoven. The music slows the infected, but she's already trapped. Gumball and Darwin corner her. While she tries to fight, their warmth takes over. She records her final word, laughing as rainbow liquid spills from her mouth. And then, the screen fades to black. No escape, no cure. Then we have the episode The Limit, which, in my point of view, shouldn't be on a kid's cartoon channel. It all starts at the grocery store where everything seems normal enough, until you remember this is Gumball we're talking about. Nicole lays down one rule: no candy? Simple, right? Wrong. Gumball, Darwin, and Aeneas immediately start scheming. They pull every trick they know, but Nicole isn't budging. No candy, no exceptions. So they take things to the next level. It's full-on war, and Nicole is the enemy. But there's one thing they don't realize. There's only so much their mom can take. And then, she snaps. Nicole doesn't just get mad, she changes. Her face twists. Her movements become unnatural, sharp, and animalistic. She's not just angry, she's something else, something terrifying. She chases them through the store, faster than she should be. The animation itself warps as if reality can't keep up with her rage. Then, it gets worse. A security guard steps in and tries to stop her. He even hits her with a taser, but she doesn't even flinch. Instead, she turns to look at him, and somehow, it drains the life from his face. His skin wrinkles, his body slumps. In seconds, he ages decade. Nicole doesn't say a word. She just keeps going. Gumball and the others run. But no matter where they turn, she's right there. Her footsteps are heavy, but they don't make a sound. They set a trap, a ceramic wall blocking her path. She then sees her own reflection, and suddenly, it's over. The monster fades. She steps back, breathes in, breathes out. The rage is gone. She apologizes. The kids get their candy, the family goes home. But that moment, when she wasn't Nicole anymore, lingered. Because if she snapped once, she could snap again. Anyhow, we've got this next episode, The Burden, and everything's dark the moment this episode starts. Gumball and Darwin are in Principal Brown's office, but instead of a normal conversation, they're watching something no child should ever see. Principal Brown waxing his fur. The boys are traumatized for life. But there's no time to process. Principal Brown hands them a task. Take care of the school hamster, Chris Morris, over the weekend. Easy, right? Except, no. Because when the camera focuses on Chris Morris, he looks horrifying. The hamster doesn't move. He doesn't blink. He just stares straight ahead, as if he's aware. The screen holds this moment, almost daring you to look away. And then, the weekend begins. Gumball, being Gumball, decides to bring Chris Morris on his date with Penny. Maybe he thinks it'll make him look responsible. Maybe he's just out of ideas. Either way, Penny's confused, and honestly, so is everyone watching. Then, things get worse. At some point, somehow, Gumball and Darwin lose Chris Morris. But instead of realizing it, they spend the entire day caring for what they think is Chris Morris, but is actually just a ball of Principal Brown's fur. Yes, they've been feeding, talking to, and doting over a literal clump of hair. Meanwhile, the real Chris Morris is out there, somewhere. By the time they realize the mistake, it's too late. The hamster is gone. He moves like a shadow, slipping through cracks and corners, always just out of reach. The boys chase him, but every time they get close, he's already one step ahead, or behind, or nowhere at all. Chris Morris doesn't run. He doesn't need to. He simply disappeared. Eventually, after a frantic chase, they trap him in Principal Brown's office. Just as the cops arrive, ready to blame Gumball and Darwin, Chris Morris does something unexpected. He saves them. Without a sound, he waves them toward a cabinet, signaling them to hide. They don't understand why, but they listen, and that's when it clicks. Chris Morris has spent his whole life in a cage, trapped with no escape. He knows what it's like to have no freedom. And now, when he finally had a chance to be free, he chose to help them instead. Gumball and Darwin, moved by his sacrifice, return the favor. They release Chris Morris into the wild, watching as he fades into the distance. Slowly, but he'll get there, eventually. This brings us to the next episode, The Dream. It all begins when Gumball wakes up absolutely furious. His heart is pounding, his face is twisted in rage, and there's only one thought running through his mind. Darwin betrayed him, not in real life, but in his dream. And in Gumball's mind, that's just as bad. In the dream, Darwin steals Penny, his best friend, his brother. The one person he trusted the most had just ripped away the love of his life without a second thought. And even though it never actually happened, Gumball can't let it go. The feeling of betrayal is too strong. He glares at Darwin with pure hatred, his voice dripping with accusation. Darwin, of course, has no idea what's going on. He laughs it off at first, brushing it aside like it's a joke. But Gumball isn't joking. In his head, the crime has already been committed. Darwin is guilty, whether he knows it or not. And then, things start spiraling. Gumball doesn't just stay mad, he feeds his paranoia. He starts seeing things that aren't there. Every little interaction between Darwin and Penny feels like proof. A laugh, suspicious, a casual conversation, definitely something going on. It's like his brain is twisting reality, warping everything to fit this ridiculous idea. At one point, he decides he needs proof. He sets up a test. 2 cups, 1 blue, 1 orange. Penny has to pick one, and in Gumball's mind, there's only one correct answer. She should pick blue, because that's his color. That would prove her loyalty. But when she reaches for orange, it's like a switch flips in his head. Without thinking, he shoves the blue cupcake into her mouth, and that's when everything goes really wrong. Penny is allergic to blue. Her body reacts instantly, her face swelling up as she struggles to breathe. Gumball panics. He has to fix this, fast. He grabs the first bottle of medicine he sees and forces it into her hand. But in his rush, he doesn't notice something crucial. They're thumbtack. The realization hits like a brick. This isn't just a bad day anymore. He's actively making things worse. And yet, instead of stopping to think, he keeps doubling down. At this point, the only solution he can come up with is complete nonsense. He and Darwin need to settle this inside a dream. Somehow, diving into their subconscious will prove who's right. And so, they do just that. But the dreams they enter aren't just dreams. They're distorted, eerie, filled with shadows and warped images. The deeper they go, the worse it gets. Everything feels wrong. When they finally reach the right dream, Gumball makes one last terrible mistake. He replaces Penny's face with Sussie's. Now, Darwin is furious. And just like that, the cycle starts all over again. By the time Gumball realizes the truth, it's too late. Darwin never betrayed him. Penny never left him. None of this was real, but the damage is done. All of this over a dream. Those were some of the darkest moments in Gumball, ones that still leave us questioning what we just watched. See you in the next video.
The amazing world of Gumball is known for its quirky humor and absurd adventures, but when it comes to horror, number 4 on this list will steal your sleep and leave you questioning what's real. There's this episode, The Puppet, where Gumball and Darwin go up to the attic to look through some old toys. Among the dusty boxes, Darwin finds these creepy puppets, and from the start, you can already tell something's off. These puppets are from a team that worked on Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, so you know it's going to get weird. Darwin, of course, wants to play with them, but Gumball warns him they're too old. But Darwin doesn't listen. He sneaks them away and starts having fun with them, voicing them like they're his new best friends. One puppet is named Frank, and the other is Howdy. But these puppets aren't just toys. They've been hidden away in the attic for years because they were replaced by a video game console. Darwin even promises the puppets he'll never take them off, and for some reason, he actually keeps that promise. He takes them everywhere, even using Howdy to mess with the bus driver. Things get super weird when Darwin starts talking through the puppets, and people like Rocky fall for it. The bus crashes and only Rocky gets hurt. Darwin, however, acts strangely calm, almost like he doesn't care. Later at school, Darwin struggles with eating because he's still wearing the puppets. Gumball notices and mocks him, but then the puppets start looking angry. Usually, puppets can't do that. They can only move their mouths. This is when things start to get seriously unsettling. Darwin even starts roasting Gumball using the puppets, and Gumball has no idea what's going on. It's like Darwin has lost control. Things get even worse when Darwin tries to take a bath with the puppets, but Gumball catches him. It's when Gumball pushes Darwin to explain that the puppets go full creepy. They attack him, and that's when Gumball realizes something is terribly wrong. The puppets are alive, and they want more than just to be played with. That night, the puppets crawl out of the trash, and they are no longer just hand puppets. They speak with real voices, not Darwin's. They've been waiting all these years, and now they want revenge. The puppets drag Darwin into their world, a place that's colorful but so unsettling. It's like something out of a nightmare. Gumball follows and becomes a puppet too. He sees the world through their eyes, and it's not pretty. The puppets sing a twisted song about how they've trapped Darwin forever. Gumball tries to save him, but it's all a trap. In the end, Gumball and Darwin manage to escape by blowing up the puppet world. They sell the puppets in a garage sale, and the episode ends. This episode takes a creepy turn. What starts as a funny puppet gag quickly turns into a full-on horror show, and it leaves you thinking about the things kids' shows can get away with. But wait till you see the episode The Night. In this episode, the night falls over Elmore, and everything drifts into a strange slumber. But sleep isn't always peaceful. As the moon watches over the town, people fall into bizarre dreams. Terry erases her own eyes. Larry twitches from exhaustion. Richard collapses face first into his food. Even the traffic light falls asleep, causing chaos on the streets. The whole town drifts into their own worlds of sleep. But not everyone's dream is a calm one. Gumball finds himself floating in space. As he falls toward Earth, he smashes through a satellite, an airplane, and even Hector before crashing into his own roof. He wakes up, relieved, but only to knock himself unconscious on his bunk bed. Was it all just a dream, or did the nightmare follow him into reality? Meanwhile, Mr. Small dreams of flying, swimming, and feeling endless freedom. But when he wakes up, he's trapped in a tiny, suffocating box. The clock ticks loudly, and the walls feel like they're closing in. Even the most free-spirited minds can be trapped in their own nightmares. Banana Joe's dream turns into a nightmare when he chases his own tail, only to split it in half. The two halves regenerate, one with two faces, the other with two butts. The two parts chase each other in terror, and when Joe wakes up, he finds he's actually split in real life. What happens if the version of you that wakes up isn't the real you? What if part of you stays behind in the dream? Nicole dreams of lounging on a peaceful beach, but her dream takes a dark turn when the ground shakes, the wind howls, and a tsunami rises. In reality, Richard's snoring is so violent that he shakes the bed and rolls over, crushing Nicole beneath him. The nightmare isn't just in her head, it's real. Darwin dreams he's in his fishbowl, but it's bigger. Even in his wildest dreams, all he wants is a little more space. Larry, too, is trapped in his own nightmare. His subconscious collapses, turning Richard into a giant dough bun. Larry wakes up in a wasteland, naked, and with his mouth sewn shut. He laughs like a maniac, convinced it's all a dream. But it's real. He's locked in a jail cell. Hector's dream is of finally being normal-sized, but in reality, he's sleepwalking, destroying buildings. His size was never the problem. It was what kept everyone safe. Meanwhile, Carrie wakes up in a bright pastel-colored world, only to realize even the afterlife isn't safe from her nightmares. Aeneas dreams a twisted dream where Daisy the donkey is alive and Aeneas is the toy. Daisy forces her into horrible situations, and Aeneas, broken and battered, begs for it to end. Daisy hugs her tightly, then stares directly directly at the screen. Is Daisy's dream a reflection of reality, or is it a toy having its own nightmares? Finally, Alan's dreams are full of disturbing images. Rotting fruit, clown statues, and hands with eyes. But Alan hums peacefully in his sleep. What kind of mind finds comfort in pure horror? As dawn approaches, the moon ends its watch. The night is over, but the dreams don't always stay behind. Gumball's fall never ends. How many times have you woken up just before impact? Just think about it. What if you're still dreaming right now? What if the real nightmare is realizing you never truly woke up? But then there's the episode The Mirror. This episode kicks off with Gumball boasting about his relationship with Penny at the dinner table, making Darwin feel left out. Then Gumball gets an email, expecting it to be from Penny, but instead it's a creepy chain letter from someone called the Snatcher. The email warns that if Gumball doesn't forward it to 10 people, he'll be cursed. The curse will strip away everything he loves: his money, friends, family, and the Snatcher will steal his soul through the mirror at night. Gumball brushes it off, deletes the email, and laughs it off, but Darwin isn't so sure. The next day, things start going wrong. Gumball doesn't have lunch money. Darwin panics, convinced it's the curse. Even Carrie, the ghost, disappears when she hears about the Snatcher. Gumball brushes it off, but Darwin insists something's up. Then, Gumball flirts with Penny, but a game of telephone ruins everything. His sweet message gets twisted into an insult, and the entire class turns on him. By the end of the day, Gumball starts to doubt his decision to ignore the chain letter. But when they get home, their family's missing, and it gets worse. Desperate, Gumball and Darwin go to see Mrs. Jotunheim, a creepy old lady who gives them a potion to fight the curse. She explains the Snatcher's origins: a man obsessed with a ghost who tried to be with her forever, but in doing so, doomed himself to an eternity trapped behind mirrors. Armed with the potion, Gumball and Darwin return home, but things don't go as planned. The Snatcher appears and chaos erupts. Carrie reveals that the Snatcher is her father, and they must use the forbidden book to break the curse. But Gumball, trying to speed things up, sacrifices his youth to fast-forward time. Darwin, trying to help, ends up killing Gumball by mistake. In the end, Gumball sacrifices himself to save Darwin, and the family defeats the Snatcher. As the curse lifts, Carrie shares an emotional moment with her father, though it's bittersweet. Just as everything settles, Gumball starts bragging about Penny again, setting the stage for more chaos. This episode is a reminder of how fear, obsession, and loneliness can spiral out of control, making people do crazy things just to feel in charge. But the scariest episode of The Amazing World of Gumball is the joy, and it all begins on a gloomy Monday morning. Richard and Aeneas are enjoying breakfast when Gumball and Darwin stomp into the kitchen, visibly upset. Without a word, they slam into the table, sending food flying, and storm off. The strange thing? There's no arguing, no yelling, just pure heavy negativity hanging in the air. Aeneas, concerned, asks Richard to give them a hug. Richard, ever the optimist, offers a wonder hug. The result? A massive, blinding rainbow explosion engulfs the house. Hugs shouldn't come with side effects like that. This was no comforting gesture. It was a dangerous force of nature. Later that day, things get even weirder at Elmore Junior High. Miss Simeon is watching her students through security cameras, enjoying their misery as a melancholy tune plays on her cassette player. But then, she notices something horrifying. Gumball and Darwin are way too happy. They're giggling uncontrollably, singing in auto-tune, and collapsing into fits of laughter. Gumball even mistakes Darwin's arm for his nose and laughs so hard he coughs up thick rainbow-colored liquid. Miss Simeon is horrified. This isn't just joy. It's something unnatural. Panicking, she runs to Principal Brown's office, only to find him filming himself doing something completely unrelated. He brushes off her concerns about a joy outbreak, so Miss Simeon steals his camcorder and sets out to prove this isn't just a weird phase. At the school clinic, she films Gumball and Darwin as they continue to laugh and cough violently, their bodies convulsing. Their hearts stop, and Miss Simeon smiles. This is proof, but something's off. She's not scared. She's fascinated. As she races to show Principal Brown, he accidentally opens the quarantine, releasing Gumball and Darwin. The infection spreads quickly. Gumball and Darwin embrace the principal and school nurse, laughing hysterically, their mouths spilling rainbow liquid. Everyone around them just accepts it. No resistance, no screams, just more laughter. It's chilling because it's not an attack, it's an offering, and everyone seems to want it. Desperate, Miss Simeon locks herself in her office, destroying everything in frustration. But when her cassette tape accidentally plays, everything changes. The sad music makes the infected snap out of it. Miss Simeon realizes that the cure isn't medicine, it's music. The joy isn't a disease, it's a replacement for every other emotion. Miss Simeon, determined to survive, fakes being infected and walks through the halls smiling unnaturally. But when she sees Banana Joe breaking the dress code, she can't help but scold him. That's the moment it all falls apart. The infected turn on her, chasing her down. She fights to hold on to control, but in this this new world, there are no rules, only joy. She locks herself in Principal Brown's office, but it's too late. Gumball and Darwin are waiting for her. They embrace her, and she screams in laughter as rainbow liquid floods from her mouth. There's no more Miss Simeon, only joy. This episode plays on a real fear, forced happiness. Society expects people to smile even when they're struggling. Miss Simeon resists, but in the end, she can't escape the pressure to conform. The scariest part? What if you woke up one day and everyone around you was smiling just a little too widely? What if you found yourself unable to resist it? Honestly, I'm creeped out while doing this video, but what's your say about these? Let us know in the comments. Gumball's wild adventures are full of chaos, but if he were charged for his crimes, things would get pretty serious. In the episode The Test, Gumball, Darwin, and Sarah try those old Facebook quizzes. Gumball is reluctant at first, but when the quiz says he's a loser, he decides to change things up. He starts acting the opposite of how he usually does, trying to be nice instead of his usual jerk self. But all the built-up anger inside him doesn't disappear, and the whole situation turns into a sitcom. Gumball becomes the popular kid, and Tobias, who's usually cool, becomes the loser. In the end, Gumball spits out all the venom he's been holding inside, burning Tobias' face and leaving a nasty hole. Tobias survives, but he's in critical condition. For this, Gumball would be charged with aggravated battery, sentenced for 10 years and a $110,000 fine. In the episode The Spoiler, Gumball loses it when movie spoilers start ruining his excitement for The Screaming. Everyone in Elmore has already seen it, and avoiding spoilers is impossible. During lunch, his friends spoil the movie with food metaphors, and Gumball, in a fit of rage, eats all their lunches. But it doesn't stop there. Anton, a literal piece of toast, tries to spoil the movie too, so Gumball eats him. Yes, cannibalism. Later, when a random radio caller starts spoiling the movie, Gumball assaults him on air. For these acts, Gumball would be charged with second-degree murder and aggravated battery. That's life in prison, plus an additional 5 years and a $110,000 fine. And don't forget, Anton wasn't safe the second time either. In the episode The Job, Gumball and Darwin decide to help Richard deliver pizzas. Their first stop is the Pepperoni family, who are expecting a baby. Gumball, just about to hand over the pizza, drops it down the stairs, killing the baby in front of the parents. It's a tragic moment, but at least he gave them another baby. Sort of. Next, Gumball is supposed to deliver the pizza to Mr. Small. Since the pizza is ruined, he makes a new one from mud, grass, and chewing gum. Mr. Small, starving, doesn't even check the pizza before eating it. He ends up poisoned and passes out, though he survives. For these actions, Gumball would be charged with involuntary manslaughter and poisoning. That's 20 years in prison and a $35,000 fine. In the episode The Spoon, Gumball and Darwin find themselves in the middle of a robbery. They go to a gas station to buy a gift for their mom. But when they see Sal robbing the place, he tricks them into thinking it's for charity. Being good kids, they decide to help him steal. When the cops show up, Sal tells them to distract them, and Gumball and Darwin do it perfectly. But things take a turn when they find a full safe of cash. Just as they're about to hand it over, their family walks in. That's when they realize they've been part of a crime. Trying to stop Sal, they wreck the gas station in the process. For all this, Gumball would face charges of aiding and abetting a crime, obstruction of justice, and vandalism. That's additional 13 years in prison and a fine of $223,000. In the episode The Mustache, Gumball and Darwin accidentally become buff adults after eating Richard's cereal, which turns out to be full of pills. With their newfound strength, Gumball gets an idea. First, he throws a dodgeball at Tina, and she crashes through a wall, knocked out cold. Feeling invincible, Gumball takes things further by stealing a car like any adult might do. For these wild actions, Gumball would face charges of aggravated battery and reckless driving. As an adult, that would mean 15 years in prison and a $25,000 fine. In the episode The Hug, Gumball crosses a line when he impulsively hugs the hot dog guy. What starts as a simple awkward moment turns into a nightmare when the hot dog guy refuses to let go. Days of uncomfortable interactions follow, making things worse. Desperate to end it, Gumball tries a shocking move. He feeds the hot dog guy actual hot dogs, hoping it will make him let go. For this bizarre act, Gumball would face charges of criminal solicitation and mental torture. That means another 20 years in prison and a $3,000 fine. In the episode The Gift, Gumball and Darwin are invited to Masami's birthday party, but they're terrified because anyone who gave her a bad gift last time mysteriously disappeared. To avoid the same fate, they decide to give her the perfect gift, something she doesn't already have. Richard suggests they give her nothing. And how do they do that? By kidnapping her and locking her in the basement. Of course, Masami panics, floods the place, and almost drowns them all. Thankfully, she breaks out and saves them in time. For this, Gumball would face charges of aggravated kidnapping involving a child, which could land him a life sentence and a $50,000 fine. In the episode The Voice, Gumball and Darwin are chatting online when they're suddenly threatened by a mysterious figure. This person promises payback for all the bad things Gumball and Darwin have done. To make things right, Gumball decides to apologize to everyone at school. While apologizing to Alan, the ever-perfect, flawless guy, Gumball gets frustrated by how nice he is. So he punches Alan into the sky, and to make matters worse, he grabs a rock and pops him. After that, things seem to calm down, until the mysterious figure, William the Winged Green Eye, shows up. He starts chasing them with powers, but when he realizes they couldn't hear him before because he has no mouth, it's too late. Gumball grabs a racket and smacks William so hard that he flies through a window. For these actions, Gumball would face 2 charges of second-degree murder and 2 life sentences in prison, plus a $200,000 fine. In the episode The Saint, Gumball takes his frustration to the extreme, torturing Alan just for being too nice. It all starts when Gumball spills juice on a computer, causing it to explode. In a panic, he tries to put out the fire with more juice, making things worse. The librarian starts chasing them in anger, and Alan steps in, taking the blame to protect Gumball and getting detention. Instead of being grateful, Gumball gets annoyed with Alan's kindness. He vows to break Alan and expose his true nature. First, he posts inappropriate things on Alan's social media, making him lose friends. But Alan, ever the nice guy, tries to use this as a chance to make peace, which only frustrates Gumball more. Next, Gumball has Darwin impersonate Alan to ruin his relationship with Carman. But Alan doesn't crack, so Gumball steals his last meatball at lunch and, in the worst move of all, kidnaps Alan's parents and sells them to a clown at a children's party. After all this failure, Gumball goes mad and vows to only do good from now on. For these crimes, Gumball would face charges of impersonation, forgery, theft, and human trafficking. These serious offenses would lead to a life sentence plus 8 more years and a $215,000 fine. Then, in the episode The Traitor, Gumball takes things way too far when he goes full stalker mode. It all begins when Alan lies about his mom being in the hospital. But Gumball doesn't trust him. He starts tailing Alan, crashes into cars, and causes chaos, blowing up random bystanders in the process. Then Gumball shows up at the hospital, accidentally kills Alan's Uncle Phil, and, believe it or not, attempts surgery on Alan's mom. The surgery doesn't kill her, but it leaves her in a horrible condition, able to speak only through her butt. For all this, Gumball would face charges of second-degree murder 5 times, impersonating a doctor, practicing medicine without a license, and reckless endangerment. His punishment, the death penalty, 20 years in prison, and a hefty $585,000 fine. In the episode The Schooling, Gumball takes his new job as a bank teller a bit too literally. When a robber shows up, his co-worker casually tells them, "We're the bank. We rob people, not the other way around." Gumball decides to follow that advice, cleaning out every account, snatching jewelry, and even threatening a customer by saying, "We'll come for your kids next." This isn't just theft. It's a full-blown robbery and coercion. For these crimes, Gumball would face 10 years in prison and a $15,000 fine. In the episode The Debt, Gumball goes way too far after Mr. Robinson narrowly misses him while parking. Gumball decides that Mr. Robinson owes him his life, so he goes on a mission to help him. But it's nothing but disaster. First, he moves a wet floor sign, causing Mr. Robinson to slip and eat pavement. Then Gumball sets up a booby trap that ends up injuring him instead. Things get worse when Gumball thinks Mr. Robinson is dead in a tanning booth, so he tries to revive him twice with a defibrillator. Finally, after all that, Gumball crushes Mr. Robinson under a platform. For these actions, Gumball would be charged with second-degree murder and aggravated battery, and his punishment would be a life sentence plus 5 extra years in prison and a $110,000 fine. In the episode The Cycle, Gumball takes things too far when he helps Richard get revenge on his lifelong bully, Harold Wilson. First, Harold rams his car into Richard's in the parking lot, Then he steals Richard's pants and replaces them with women's pants. The kids decide it's time for payback, but instead of something small, Gumball comes up with a wild idea. A fake check for $1 billion. Sure, it's obvious it's fake, but Harold doesn't cash it right away. Instead, he uses his own money and goes on a wild spending spree. Buying jewelry, a private helicopter, and hiring butlers. Harold's lavish spending ends up sinking him deep into debt and wrecking his life. For this, Gumball would be charged with check fraud and forgery. His punishment, an additional 20 years in prison and a $225,000 fine. In the episode The Prank, Gumball takes pranking to a whole new level of cruelty. It all starts when Richard is pranked by Sala, who hides baked beans in his sneakers. Gumball, thinking this is child's play, steps in to show Richard what a real prank looks like. Except this is more than anyone could handle. First, Gumball hijacks Richard's prank audio guide, leading him to do some embarrassing and dangerous stunts. The next day, Richard wakes up stranded at sea, forced to eat his own clothes to survive, and returns sunburned and angry. For his actions, Gumball would be charged with criminal harassment and reckless endangerment. He could face up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. Adding up all of Gumball's crimes, his total sentence would be the death penalty, 5 life sentences, 146 years in prison, and fines totaling $1,907,000. But honestly, the real crime here is you watching this whole video without subscribing. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, because when we hit 100,000 subs, I'll finally leave my room and get some fresh air. Maybe even go outside.
Even if you've watched Gumball 100 times, these 20 facts will mess with your memory of the entire show. Gumball's real name sent him into a full breakdown. Before he was Gumball, he was legally named Zack. Sounds normal, right? But for Gumball, it unlocked something awful. In the episode The Name, he creates a wild, overconfident version of himself named Zack, and it spirals fast. This alter ego takes over and nearly ruins everything. It got so bad, his parents had to legally change his name back to Gumball. The poor kid literally had a breakdown because of a name. Imagine being haunted by your own birth certificate. Susie's face is real, and that's the scary part. Susie isn't just another weird background character. Her face is taken from a real person. Even stranger, it's the face of the show's creator's girlfriend. Her name is Ari, and she acted out every creepy look you see on Susie. They filmed her making expressions, then stuck them on a 2D noodle body. Nothing was animated. It's all her. So now, every time Susie screams or giggles, just remember, those aren't sound effects. That's someone's actual girlfriend haunting your screen. Elmore is a dumping ground for rejected mascots. Many of the characters in Gumball were never meant to be in a show. They were actually failed advertising mascots from the creator's old projects. Instead of throwing them out, he gave them a second life in Elmore. That means some of your favorite characters were almost stuck selling shampoo or cereal. It's like if the island of misfit toys became a middle school. They were never designed to behave like normal people. Richard only uses his brain when the world is ending. Most of the time, Richard acts like he barely knows how to breathe. But the show slips in a strange detail. When things get truly dangerous, his brain suddenly turns on. In a few episodes, he solves complex problems, hacks machines, and saves the day, all while everyone else panics. It's like his mind only works when it thinks he's about to die. So maybe Richard isn't dumb. Maybe he's just waiting for the apocalypse to finally focus. Carrie was never alive to begin with. Carrie isn't a ghost because of some tragic accident. She was actually born that way. Her dad is a vampire, and her mom is a cloud-like spirit, which makes Carrie the child of 2 supernatural beings. That means she never had a normal life, or even a heartbeat. In the show, she talks and acts like any other teenager, but under all that eyeliner is someone who never got to live. Elmore High really does accept everyone, even the undead. Gumball was created by a man who shouldn't be near cats. Ben Boccalet, the creator of Gumball, is allergic to cats. So of course, he made his main character a bright blue cat who never leaves the screen. He sneezed through meetings, storyboards, and production while building a show around the very thing that makes his nose hate him. It's either poetic or ridiculous. Maybe both. So Gumball might seem cute and harmless, but for Ben, every scene was a biological attack. That's not just dedication, that's cartoon making with consequences. Darwin's full name is a deep oceanic reference pile. In one episode, Darwin's full name is revealed, and it's not just long, it's suspiciously epic. His full name is Darwin Raglan Caspian Ahab Poseidon Nicodemus Watterson. It sounds less like a child's name and more like a prophecy. Nearly every part references the sea, old literature, or mythology. You'd think he was born to command the oceans, not go to middle school. Either someone at Elmore's hospital got dramatic with the paperwork, or Darwin is secretly a tiny sea god in sneakers. Rob knows he's trapped and no one believes him. Rob isn't just another background character gone bad. After falling into the void, a place where the show hides its mistakes, he came back different. He glitches, he rants, and worst of all, he knows the truth. He's the only character who realizes they're all stuck inside a cartoon. While everyone else laughs and moves on, Rob spirals. The world treats him like the villain, but he might be the only one seeing reality. Nothing's scarier than being right when everyone thinks you're crazy. Darwin grew lungs. Because of love, apparently. Darwin didn't start as Gumball's brother. He started as a pet goldfish who lived in a bowl. Then, out of nowhere, he grew legs, developed lungs, and joined the family like it was totally normal. The show never fully explains it, but the reason seems to be emotional. His love for Gumball was so strong, it changed his biology. That's either the most touching thing ever or a medical emergency. Maybe someone should have told him that Darwin's theory wasn't meant to be a personal challenge. Nicole was named after a career she never chose. Nicole's full legal name is Dr. Nicole Watterson. That's not a nickname or a title. Her parents actually named her doctor at birth because they wanted her to become one. They didn't give her a name, they gave her a job. No pressure, right? Growing up with that kind of label explains a lot about Nicole's stress, rage, and need to be perfect. Elmore might not be real, and that's the scariest part. There's a theory that Elmore is actually a simulation, and honestly, it makes too much sense. The town is full of glitches, broken logic, and characters who don't follow any real-world rules. Some are flat, some are 3D, and a few are literal photographs with faces. The Void Store's deleted mistakes like it's a recycling bin. Rob seems to know the truth, but no one listens. If Elmore really is a program, then Gumball is just a bug that gained personality. Banana Joe has a closet full of spare faces. In one episode, Banana Joe casually peels off his face like it's no big deal. What's worse is that he has backups. Inside his closet, there are extra eyes, mouths, and facial features just hanging there like spare socks. He treats his own face like a sticker collection, swapping parts whenever he feels like it. It's played for laughs, but it's deeply disturbing. If your friend can remove his eyeballs and keep spares in a drawer, it might be time to leave the sleepover. The Void is a graveyard for forgotten cartoons. The Void is one of the strangest places in Gumball. It's a blank, broken space where every mistake, error, or abandoned character ends up. If something doesn't fit the logic of the world, it gets deleted and thrown into this digital wasteland. Some characters fall in and never return. Others, like Rob, crawl out looking completely corrupted. It's supposed to be a joke about glitches, but it feels more like a quiet horror story about being erased and remembered by no one. Nicole's rage broke the frame rate. In the episode The Fury, Nicole gets into a full-on anime-style battle that looks nothing like the rest of the show. The reason it feels so intense is because it was animated at twice the normal frame rate. Every move is smooth, fast, and way too powerful for a suburban mom. It's packed with references to Kill la Kill and Street Fighter, but it's also kind of terrifying. For one brief moment, Nicole stops being a cartoon and becomes a weapon drawn in pure vengeance. Rob almost became a digital god, but got cancelled instead. The original plan for Gumball's finale was much darker. Rob, the glitchy villain, was going to fully merge with the Void and transform into a godlike force. He would have rewritten reality and taken control of the entire universe. It was meant to be his final revenge after being ignored and erased for so long, but Cartoon Network shut it down. They didn't want the show to end on something that heavy. So Rob's story just stopped. Fitting for someone who was always treated like a mistake. The clown is always there, and that's the problem. A creepy clown keeps showing up in the background of different episodes, and nobody in Elmore ever seems to notice. He never speaks, never blinks, and never does anything except stare. Some fans think he's trying to kidnap Gumball and Darwin, but can't do it while we're watching. That theory makes the whole thing even worse. He's always waiting, always watching, and completely ignored by the characters. If that's not a walking metaphor for anxiety, then it's just a clown with really bad timing. Carrie, a ghost, was possessed by another ghost. In the episode The Flower, Carrie doesn't just float through walls or mope in the hallway. She gets fully possessed by another ghost, one made of pure jealousy. For a character who's already dead, that's a pretty bad day. She loses control, her voice changes, and everything around her starts to fall apart. It's the kind of chaos you'd expect from a horror movie, not a middle school hallway. If ghosts can get haunted, then no one in Elmore is ever really safe, not even the dead. Darwin is just the last survivor of a doomed fish line. In the origins, we learn something dark about Darwin's past. Before he grew legs and joined the family, there were others. Gumball had several pet fish before him, and he named all of them Darwin. Darwin. None of them lasted. He flushed each one down the toilet like they were goldfish clones in a losing game. That means the Darwin we know might be version 7 or 8. Either Gumball accidentally triggered evolution, or he's been committing silent fish crimes for years. Well, that just proved Gumball is basically a fever dream with a budget. Which theory messed you up the most? Comment below and share this with your favorite cartoon conspiracy theorist. New breakdowns are always on the way.